Russia's war against Ukraine has been driven as much by events in the air as by territorial gains on the front lines. Both the Ukrainian Defense Forces and the Russian occupation forces have increasingly relied on combat drones, but cruise and ballistic missiles are still important tools. While cruise missiles fly at a constant altitude and are capable of maneuvering or changing course, a ballistic missile is typically a faster, unguided projectile that is launched by a rocket engine and describes a high arc before descending toward its target. Bloomberg named the main missiles used by Ukraine and Russia in this war. What missiles does Ukraine use to strike Russia and occupied territories? ATACMS. The US-made Army tactical missile system known as ATACMS is a supersonic, surface-to-surface guided ballistic missile with a range of approximately 300 kilometers. It can carry both conventional and cluster munitions and is launched from HIMARS or M270 MLRS platforms. Just over a year ago, the United States allowed Ukraine to use shorter-range ATACMS against targets in Russian-occupied territories of Ukraine. In November 2024, Washington allowed Ukrainian troops to use these missiles against some targets in the Russian Federation. The Bryansk region was the first to come under ATACMS fire. Storm Shadow. Developed by the UK and France, where it is known as Scalp, this missile has a maximum range of about 250 kilometers. It is usually launched from an aircraft and flies low to avoid enemy detection. The Storm Shadow missile is extremely accurate thanks to a modern navigation system. It is also effective at penetrating fortified bunkers and ammunition depots. Each missile costs approximately $1 million. In particular, these missiles were used during the attack on the headquarters of the Russian Black Sea Fleet in the temporarily occupied Crimea. In November, the UK authorized the use of Storm Shadow for strikes against the Russian Federation. Neptune. The Ukrainian-developed R-360 Neptune is an anti-ship cruise missile. Later, a variant for land attacks appeared. The Neptune has a range of 300 kilometers. This missile can be launched from ships, aircraft, and land platforms. High-profile cases of its use include the destruction of the Russian cruiser Moskva in April 2022. Palyanitsia. In the summer, President Volodymyr Zelensky unveiled the latest Ukrainian weapon, the Palyanitsia drone missile. This development is something between a drone and a missile. It is designed to strike airfields deep inside Russian territory. Most of the technical characteristics of the Palyanitsia are not disclosed. Air defense missiles. To protect its skies, Ukraine relies heavily on Western air defense systems such as the American Patriot and Hawk, Norway's NASAMS, IRIS-T, and SAMP-T. It was with the help of the Patriots that Ukraine was able to shoot down Russian Kinzhal and Tsirkon missiles, which Russia claimed were impossible to intercept. What weapons does Russia use to terrorize Ukraine? Hazel. The Oreshnik is a relatively new weapon in the Russian-Ukrainian war. Russia recently launched its first strike on Ukraine with this missile. The Oreshnik can have a range of 5,000 kilometers. X-101. Russia has a wide arsenal of cruise missiles designated by the letter X. These are the KH-101, KH-55, KH-555, KH-22, KH-59, and KH-69. They have different speeds and can be launched, among other things, from strategic bombers. In particular, Russia launches the KH-101 during massive strikes on Ukraine from Tu-95MS. It is a mobile short-range ballistic missile system with a range of 500 kilometers. Russia often uses them for deadly attacks on Ukraine, launching these missiles from its own territory near the border. Kinzhal. Kinzhal missiles can travel at 10 times the speed of sound and are difficult to intercept. Russia first used the weapon against Ukraine in March 2022, just weeks after a full-scale invasion. DOT-U, an improved version of the Tochka ballistic missile with a maximum range of 120 kilometers, is designed to hit tactical targets such as command centers, airfields, and infrastructure. This missile is in stockpiles in both Ukraine and Russia. Aerial bombs. Russia uses aerial bombs to strike at the front line and terrorize frontline regions and cities. Kharkov in particular suffers from them. Air defense missiles. The backbone of Russia's air defense is the S-400 long-range mobile anti-aircraft missile system. Designed to destroy missiles and aircraft, it was accepted into service in 2007, but it is still considered one of Russia's most effective defenses. The more advanced S-500 system, which has been in Russia's arsenal for 3 years, has a longer range and can destroy hypersonic missiles.
Romania is reeling after a little-known, far-right populist secured the first round in the presidential election, beating the incumbent prime minister. Călin Georgescu, who ran independently, will face reformist Elena Lasconi in a December 8 runoff after most local surveys predicted he would win less than 10% of the vote. Georgescu, 62, was ahead after nearly all ballots were counted with around 22.95%. According to local media, Georgescu in the past has praised Russian President Vladimir Putin as a man who loves his country and called Ukraine an invented state. He has also sparked controversy for describing Romanian fascist and nationalist leaders from the 1930s and 1940s as national heroes. Lasconi, of the progressive Save Romania Union Party, or USR, followed with 19.17%. On Monday she warned that Romania is now in a historical confrontation between the past and the future, between preserving Romania's young democracy and those who want to return Romania to the Russian sphere of influence. She added, "Let us be very clear, Călin Georgescu is an open admirer of Vladimir Putin. He is open against NATO and the European Union. He is for Romania's isolation, which he calls neutrality. And without NATO we are at the mercy of Russia." Georgescu on Monday denied charges of being an extremist as false, totally fake, and said he is completely dedicated to the Romanian people. Many observers have attributed Georgescu's success to his TikTok account, which has 3.7 million likes and 274,000 followers. He gained huge traction and popularity in recent weeks. It is the first time in Romania's 35-year post-communist history that the country's most powerful party, the PSD, doesn't have a candidate in the second round of a presidential race, underscoring voters' anti-establishment sentiment. Ciolacu's shocking defeat prompted him to submit his resignation as party leader on Monday.
Azi ne-am trezit brusc într-o confruntare istorică între trecut și viitor, între păstrarea democrației tinere a României și putinism, între iubirea de țară și cei care vor să întoarcă România în sfera de influență rusească. Să ne fie foarte clar, Călin Georgescu este un admirator pe față al lui Vladimir Putin. Este pe față împotriva NATO și a Uniunii Europene. Are un discurs național ceaușist. Este pentru izolarea României pe care el o numește neutralitate. Vrea să scoată România din circuitele economice și financiare europene și internaționale. Și cu asta vrea să distrugă tot pe ce se bazează toată prosperitatea noastră. Iar fără NATO, suntem la cheremul Rusiei. O spun cu voce tare și cu inima plină. Și o spun cu vocea milioanelor de români care se simt parte a familiei europene. Românii patrioți au rezistat în istorie de 10 ori invaziilor rusești. Vom rezista și acum.